Hello there, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Hope everybody's doing great and fantastic. And I'm going to be speaking about a very important topic today. I know I always say that because I talk about all this stuff, this job search stuff, but I'll just give it a few minutes for everyone to start logging in and let me know in the comments who you are, where you're tuning in from. Is this your first time tuning in? Love to hear more from all of you who are taking the time to tune in, and appreciate everyone joining in. And make sure you hit like so that your network is exposed to this today's content, because someone out there might be in need of what I'll be sharing today. So let me know in the comments, folks, who you are, where you're tuning in from, and I'll give it a few more minutes before I start speaking about today's topic. All right. um, so let's see here. So who's tuning in? So we got Sahej. Thanks so much for tuning in, Sahej. Appreciate your comment. Who else is here? Don't be shy, everybody. Let me know who you are, where you're from. Let's get this thing started. And most very important, folks, for those of you tuning in, if you're open to networking, you want to grow your network, here's an opportunity, right? So put it in the comments. Let everyone know you're open to networking as well. Priya, hey Priya, thanks so much for tuning in. Good to see you again, Priya. Hope everything's great. Priya says, thanks for taking up another useful topic today. Yeah, no worries, Priya. I definitely wanted to speak about this. We got Ankita is in the house. Ankita, thanks so much for tuning in. Appreciate that. Nikhil, how's it going? Hey, Marcus, my friend Marcus is in the house as well. Awesome. Sounds good, Marcus. Thanks so much for tuning in. We got Bhavani. Bhavani is tuning in all the way from New Delhi and trying to connect with HR over direct messaging. All right, so the majority of them are quite reluctant to talk. Yeah, so we're going to be speaking about this today, Bhavani. So thanks so much for tuning in. We got Devanshi is straight out of the six. Devanshi is tuning in straight out of the six. Sounds good, Devanshi. Thanks for tuning in. We got Anubhav all the way from India. We got Valentine from the Ukraine. Wow, awesome. Wonderful people, beautiful country. And then we got Arvind. We got Anjali. We got Tanya. Tanya is all the way from Calgary. Thanks so much for tuning in, Tanya. We got Pooja, Anjali, Muisi from Nigeria. Shout out to Nigeria. So many great. I've been speaking at quite a few events recently, Muisi, for the Nigerian community here in Canada. And most recently, I spoke to a group out in Nova Scotia. My first time speaking to a group out in Nova Scotia, but great group and awesome group of professionals. So thanks so much for tuning in. Then who else is here? We've got Sandeepan, thanks so much for tuning in. So folks, I'm gonna get this thing started, right? So now before we start, and firstly, thanks everyone for those of you tuning in. A very key and important topic today, right? Because look, for the past couple of weeks, I know I've been saying, look, you can't depend on just applying online. You got to direct message recruiters, you got to direct message hiring managers, or send emails, even pick up the phone and cold call, right? So I'm not going to talk about the cold call stuff because I don't want this stuff to fly over your heads, right? I don't want to take all of you from 0 to 60. I want to get you to 10 kilometers, then 20 kilometers, miles if you're tuning in from that part of the world that uses miles. But I'm going to talk today strictly, folks, about the direct messaging and the emails, right? Now, before we get started, again, I just wanted to give a few announcements and also some shout outs as well. So firstly, for those of you who are tuning in to who signed up for tomorrow's event, right, that's being organized by fellow international students, I've been invited as a speaker here. For those of you who have signed up, congratulations. Really excited to see you at the event. It's taking place tomorrow, July 9th, Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern time sharp. Now, unfortunately, folks, if you have not signed up, unfortunately, the event is sold out. But I mean, my friend Arjun Kashetty, who organizes this, he's always organizing these events. So make sure you follow him. But great speaker lineup. For those of you, let me know in the comments, have you signed up for this event? Those of you who have signed up, I'm going to be speaking about job search topics, obviously. And I'm actually going to be the opening speaker. And look, this could potentially be, folks, one of the largest events that I've spoken to online. And it's a sold out event. Apparently 500 people have signed up for the event. So I'm really excited about that, and it could potentially be one of the largest audiences I've spoken to. I think so far the largest group I've spoken to was maybe like 83 people or something like that. So I'm very excited for this. Even if half of those 500 show up, even if it's like 250, that'll still be the largest group. Now, that being said, this would not be possible if not for all the likes and support I get from all of you who continue to like my posts and engage with my posts and comment on my stuff, which is what has allowed me to get more exposure to your networks and get myself known. So definitely thank you to all of you who continuously like my stuff and comment on my stuff and all of that. Really appreciate it, and thank you so much. And please do continue doing that so that I'm able to help more people out there in their job search, right? But thank you so much for that. Now, moving along, those of you who want resume and cover letter tips and advice, I have a special guest tomorrow, and she's coming in. She's joining me all the way from the States, from I believe from Dallas, out in Texas. So make sure you tune in. And my guest is going to be Dr. Amanda Rico. And let me just quickly pull up that information for you right here. So it's going to be tomorrow, folks. So make sure you use, mark your calendar, set your reminders, because LinkedIn doesn't always give the notifications. So that's going to be taking place tomorrow. Again, that's Thursday, July 9th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time zone. So make sure you tune in. If you don't get the notification, just visit my profile at 2:30 p.m. tomorrow. And you scroll down to the activity section. You should see me live. And come prepared with all your resume, questions and any tips and advice you need with resumes, cover letters, and all of that. And Dr. Rico is going to be speaking. I'm going to have her speak about this very important topic. Look, I review a lot of resumes as a recruiter, folks, but I don't create and build resumes on a day-to-day basis, right? So I wanted to bring someone who is a resume strategist and expert to share her tips and advice. So make sure you tune in, folks. And that, again, tomorrow, that's going to be tomorrow, Thursday, July 9th, 2:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you tune in. And for those of you who want to tune into my other shows, I do 3 weekly live streams every week for the most part. Tuesdays is my tech talks with a tech recruiter. Wednesdays is my, this show that I'm doing today, 11 a.m. And then Thursdays is my job search tips for where I invite job search experts to tune in, right? So feel free to visit my website if you want to connect with me on any of my social media channels. Always happy to do that. And again, thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. So let's get into the real party, right? So the reason why all of you are here. Is it okay to direct message recruiters, hiring managers, and all these different people you're going to come across in your job search, right? And I do see the comments here. So by the way, folks, any questions you have in relation to this or in relation to any job search questions you have, put them in the comments right now. I'll be happy to get around to your questions when we reach that part. But first, I'm going to speak about this topic. I'm going to be sharing 3 tips. 3 things to keep in mind in relation to direct messaging and reaching out to hiring managers directly, right? But in the meantime, definitely feel free to put your thoughts, your comments, your feedback, your experiences in the comments, as well as your questions, right? I'm going to get around to those shortly. Now, without further ado, so again, common inquiry I get from job seekers is, look, Dean, I took your advice. I'm definitely okay. I understand you're saying that I shouldn't depend only on applying for jobs online and waiting for a response. You keep telling us, Dean, that it's a passive approach. It's not, and it's so competitive out there. But Dean, is it gonna annoy people? Is it gonna annoy recruiters? Is it gonna annoy hiring managers if I start messaging them directly online, messaging them through LinkedIn? Maybe you got an email address, you want to email them directly. Is this gonna annoy? Is this gonna ruin your chances of getting considered for the job, right? That's the question a lot of you are asking. So 3 things I'm going to speak about in relation to this, folks, before we get into the Q&A. And that is, hey, Haki, shout out to Haki. So Haki's my stepbrother. He's out of Chicago. Chi-Town is in the house. So everybody say hi to Haki, but thanks for tuning in, Haki. Appreciate that. So that being said, folks, I got 3 tips for you, right? 3 tips in relation to them. Now, tip number 1 is the most important one, right? Because it's something to do with your mindset. A lot of you are approaching this direct messaging thing from the standpoint of a job seeker, which is completely normal. Myself as a job seeker, when I've been in the market for work and I'm looking for work, I'm thinking of things from my perspective, right? I'm thinking, oh my God, I need a job. I need this job. I need this opportunity at this company. It's a great opportunity. It's going to help me build my career, great compensation, blah, 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 all that stuff. I'm thinking about it as a job seeker, right? But what I want all of you to do is you need to take this mental shift to thinking about things from the employer's standpoint. The employer being the HR manager, the hiring manager, whoever is involved in the hiring process, right? Who are the stakeholders are? Maybe it's a manager, it's a team lead, it's a director, it's a VP, it's a C-level executive. I want you to start thinking about things from their standpoint, because from their standpoint, you're not a job seeker. You are not a job seeker, folks. Write this down. From the employers or the company or the business's standpoint, you're not a job seeker. Now, some of you are asking, well, Dean, in that case, what am I? Like, what exactly am I to them in that case? You're a problem solver, folks. You're a solution provider. You are someone who's going to potentially help them solve some kind of a problem some kind of an issue they're experiencing, which is what has prompted them to open up or set aside actual budget. So think about this. The problem is significant to such a degree that they're willing to set aside whatever your in your field, in your area, whatever your salary range is. Maybe that's something in the 50K range, 60K, 70K, 80K, 90K, 100K, 200K, 300K, whatever the case is. They're willing to set aside a chunk of money to invest into getting someone on board that's going to help them with whatever problem or issue they're experiencing right now. So from your standpoint as a job seeker, you're thinking, okay, I'm a job seeker, I'm looking for a job, I'm going to bother these people, I'm going to annoy them. But folks, no, I don't want you to thinking about that. I want you to think of things from the organization's standpoint. They have a costly problem that they're trying to solve, and they've set aside budget to actually go out to the marketplace and actually find someone that's going to help them with this problem. Right. And all of you already know this, by the way. I'm not telling you anything new. It's just a shift in perspective, right? All of you already know this information. So that's what all of you need to keep in mind is, look, I am a job seeker. I'm looking for work. I'm looking for my next role. I'm looking for my next gig. But from the organization standpoint, they're looking for someone to help solve their problem. Right. And that's what you need to start looking at yourself as is, look, I'm a problem solver. I'm a solution provider. I'd even go so far as to say, I'm a product. I'm a product. I'm a solution. And that's what I'm providing. And that's the mindset I need to keep when I'm reaching out to employers and potential people that are looking to, consider me for this position. Right. And Marcus made a great point here. So Marcus says, awesome point, Dean. Present yourself as a meaningful solution to their real world business outlook whenever possible. You're an asset they care about. Show them. Absolutely. 100%. Marcus, great comment. And this is key, folks, and this is a mistake a lot of you are doing is you're seeing yourself as a burden, right? As if you're annoying people and pestering people or bothering people. Now, if you're messaging the same person every day, every single day of the week, obviously you don't want to, that obviously does kind of lean into being a pest. But other than that, you do stop looking at yourself as someone annoying or someone who's bothering an organization. Just like Marcus said, you are presenting yourself as a solution, right? All of you, by the way, most of you who are in my network are IT professionals. Folks, all of you have, up until this point in your career, you have been part of solving multi-million-dollar problems. Maybe in some cases, multi-billion-dollar problems. You understand that? Do you understand that? Write that down on a piece of paper. I help solve multi-million-dollar problems. So how are you being annoying or bothersome by reaching out to these organizations who are in desperate need of someone to help them solve some kind of a usually multi-million-dollar problem? But let's say it's not a multi-million-dolar problem. Maybe it's a couple of $100,000 level problem. Maybe it's a $500,000 problem, right? Whatever the case is, you are being brought into, and they're looking for someone to help solve them with that problem. So this is the mindset shift all of us need to make in our job search. And this is the most important step. And this is the greatest barrier that stops us as job seekers from getting what we want, is thinking that we're bothering this person we're reaching out to. But no, make this mindset shift, folks. You are a problem solver. You are a solution provider. And so far, again, could depend on your field, but again, most of the people in my network are IT professionals. You help solve, folks, multi-million-dollar problems. Keep that in mind. Don't forget about that part, right? That's a very important part. And that's the reason why the company in the first place is going out there in the marketplace and looking to solve whatever problem they're looking to solve, and why they're setting aside budgets. So that's the first important point, right? You're a problem solver and a solution provider. So when you're approaching them, guess what? You could actually be very, very much, they could feel this huge sense of relief that instead of, going through these 300 applications that people have applied for this position, someone is actually reaching out, delivering their hook or their value proposition and showing why they might be a great potential fit for the role. And preventing them from having to go through these 200, 300 applications. Imagine the relief, right? And you're potentially someone that's going to help them solve with whatever problem this is that they're looking to solve. So keep this in mind, right? And I do see some comments here, folks, but I'm kind of in the zone right now. So let me finish my line of thought, and I'm going to get to the comments shortly. So that's what you want to really focus on. And also another thing, keep in mind, imagine it's one thing for an organization to set aside a budget to actually, hire someone. But it's a totally another case where it's such an important problem to the degree that they want to actually go out and even engage the services of a staffing agency as well. So think about that. That's an additional investment that could go into, tens of thousands of additional dollars in finding the right candidate for the role. right? So these are the things you need to keep in mind when you're reaching out to people in terms of, don't feel bad about reaching out to organizations and key stakeholders at these organizations that are looking to hire people. You're not a bother. You're not a pest. You're not being a pest. You're a problem solver. You're a solution provider, and that's how you need to present yourself when you're reaching out, right? So moving on to step number 2. Actually, let me get into some of these comments here. So someone said, I would say understand the goal of each department and try to connect with someone known in the department so you can discuss challenges faced by them and then come up with a solution if you can during your interview. Excellent advice here. And sorry, sometimes the live stream doesn't show the name of the person, but whoever wrote this comment, excellent comment. Completely agree with that. The more you know about the challenge they're experiencing, folks, the better you are able to position yourself, right? And let's see here. So we got Chengir. Chengir, thanks for tuning in, Chengir. Chengir says it's all in your mind. You can never come as pushy if you come from a place of humility and confidence. The only people who are annoying are those who come from a place of entitlement. Yeah, absolutely, Chengir. Great point here. And again, folks, you need to take that mindset shift and understand that you are there to help them, to help the organization and present a potential solution to help solve their problem, right? So we got Varun, we got a question from Varun. So Varun says, "Hi sir, how can I develop my contacts in IT industry while studying and how to approach them?" Networking, Varun. So you gotta be networking. Identify IT professional groups in your area that you can connect with, and really start making those contacts, right? And be active on LinkedIn and post relevant content, which shows your interest in the field, right? So hope that helps, Varun. And Bhavani says, undeniably true. But how do we know what's the problem they're trying to solve or the void they're trying to fill in if we try to connect irrespective of a job vacancy? So that's a great question, Bhavani. So this is where you might have to do some legwork, folks. Right now, the most immediate point of, reference might be the job description. The job description might give you clues as to what the problem might be or the issue might be, and based on that, you might have to deliver your communication appealing to that. Right now, if it's if you can do some more legwork and some research, maybe if you can, maybe sometimes the website, it describes certain projects or ventures the company's involved in that might give you an idea of maybe that this position is in relation to that. So this is where you might have to do some legwork, and this is where you might have to connect with people, see if you can connect with or expand your network within the organization as well, and see if you can get some inside information and some intel in regards to this position and whatnot. But initially, Bhavani, you might have to, in most cases, folks, a lot of you might have to go strictly by the job description and strictly based on what information is public and out there, and you might not be able to get more information aside from that. But the point here is you want to go by, if let's say the job description is all you have, then use that to really capture their attention and mention something that that really captures their attention based on what you see on the job description, right? And at least you can get a conversation going, and if you can get that initial phone call, like that phone interview, or even that initial phone call of interest, right, where they call you and they say, "Hey, Bhavani, we got your application, thanks for applying, and we got your message as well, and appreciate that." If you can get that initial conversation, that's where all of you folks have to start asking questions and really probing and investigating, so you can further show why you're a great fit for the role, right? So hope that helps, Bhavani. Tanya Roach says, Chengir, great point. Yeah, absolutely. Chengir brought up a great point. We got here, Priya says, thumbs up to Marcus. Yeah, absolutely, Marcus, you made a great point there. And let's see here. So we got Hardanish. Hey, Hardanish, good to see you, my friend. Long time no see. Hope you're doing great. Dean Kulaweera always gives the best advice. I got a lot of advice from him when I was in school. I really appreciate that, Hardanish. Appreciate you tuning in. And great to see you doing well, Hardanish. Hope you're doing great. So moving on to tip number 2, folks, right? So tip number 2 is, now your message, right? Now you I've established that you should be sending direct messages. Now, what does your message have to include? So 3 things I wrote down here that I want you to keep in mind when you're direct messaging recruiters, hiring managers. Again, it could be a team lead, a manager, a director, a VP, a C-level person, whatever it is. Tip number 1 is, in your direct message, again, we're moving on to direct messaging, which is tip number 2. What should your direct message or your direct email include? Tip number one, it has to speak to the problem or the need that the organization has. Now, again, if all you have is a job description, folks, that's what I want you to use as your point of reference. I want you to read over the job description and look. A lot of you, if you're in your field, if you read the job description, a lot of you can probably agree that it gives you a few clues in terms of what the issue might be, what the project entails. and it gives you an idea about what to expect in the role, right? At least at a very high level. Can everyone agree on that, right? So, and unfortunately, if the job description is all you have, that's really all you have to really make use of this, right? But my point is, make sure you do that, right, folks? And you want to make sure your message speaks to that problem or that need. Now, a lot of you are sending messages, and again, I'm not saying that it's only I have done this mistake myself, right? As a job seeker in the past, you send a message, it's a very high level message. You're like, hi, my name is so and so. So let's say it's me, right? Let's say I'm sending the message, right? Let's say I'm sending a message to a hiring manager. I'm like, hi, my name is Dean. I'm an IT recruiter. I've been in the industry for I have 8 years of experience. I've recruited on such and such positions. Let me know if you have anything for me. Standard message most people send out, and most of you send out as well, right? Whether you're I get these kind of messages from project managers, software developers, and like, I totally get why you're sending that message. But what I want you to start incorporating into your message, folks, is to speak to the problem. Like, mention something about yourself that speaks to and appeals to whatever problem or need the organization has. Again, if all you have is a job description, you need to speak to the job description, right? You need to mention achievements, results, what some kind of ROI you've achieved as a result of your knowledge, your expertise, your experience. That's what you need to mention in your direct message. That's what's going to really speak and capture the attention of the person reading the message, right? Now, let's say as a recruiter. Let's say as a recruiter, I'm applying to a role, and from the job description, I'm seeing that the focus of the role is on recruiting for software development positions in the banking industry. Now, what do I have to do, right? If I'm a recruiter, I'm looking at this job description. What do I have to do to really capture their attention? So I might say, hi, Mr. and Mrs. Hiring Manager. My name is Dean. I'm an IT recruiter. I've been in the industry for 8 years. Just applied for your position for the senior recruiter role. I did notice you've mentioned you're specifically looking for recruiters who have recruited for software developers in the banking industry. So just to let you know, I have extensive, strong experience in the banking industry. In fact, I've been recruiting specifically for the banking industry for about 3 to 4 3 years of my entire career. And I have specifically recruited in software development, and I've recruited software developers ranging from Java developers to .NET developers, front-end developers strong with JavaScript and Angular frameworks and the JavaScript frameworks, blah blah blah, etc., etc. I'm just giving an example off the top of my head, right? Will this capture that person's attention, folks? If what's mentioned is that they want someone who has that banking experience and the experience recruiting for software developers, would that not capture more attention than me simply writing a message and saying, hey, I'm an IT recruiter with 8 years of experience, and I'm looking for a new opportunity. Let me know if you have anything. What's going to capture more attention, folks, right? You got to think of it from the organization standpoint. So the fact that their job description mentioned that they're specifically looking for recruiters who have experience in the banking industry and recruited for software developers, my second message would probably capture their attention, right? So that's what I want all of you to start thinking is, how can you incorporate that into your direct messaging? Because that's what's going to capture their attention. And even in my direct messaging, even the second message I just randomly made up just now, and I know it was kind of sloppy, by the way, but cut me some slack. I just made it on the spot. But even the second message, the fact that I mentioned I'm an IT recruiter with 8 years of experience might not really capture attention, really, right? What probably will capture attention is the fact that I mentioned that I've recruited in the banking sector, and I have 3 years of experience in the banking sector, and that I've recruited extensively for software development, and I listed a couple of different types of developers that I have recruited for. That's really the meat that's going to capture their attention, right? And all of you watching, that's what I want all of you to really start thinking about and incorporating into your direct messaging. So it does include some legwork here, folks. Like, you got to go by the job description. If all you have is a job description, you need to mention something that appeals and speaks to the job description, because that's the only clue you have, at least at this point. It's the only clue you have as to what the needs, the requirements, and the problems are in relation to the position. So that's what you need to speak to, right? And in relation to in terms of other aspects, and going into my second point here, you need to mention previous successes which express similar results you have achieved for other organizations that you can potentially achieve for their organization, right? So going with my example, right, I send an email. I say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Hiring Manager, I'm an IT recruiter with 8 years of extensive experience, blah blah blah, whatever. I just applied for your position. I did notice in your position you're looking for someone who's recruited extensively in the banking industry, and specifically for software developers. Well, just I did want to let you know that I have around 3 years of experience recruiting in the banking industry, and I have recruited extensively in the software development space. And I recruited from everything from Java developers to .NET developers to blah blah blah, whatever. You then want to mention some kind of a specific project and specific success story, folks. So what I'm saying is choose like one. Again, you do not want this message to be like a whole like thesis, right? This is not your graduation speech. Like I don't want you writing huge messages. Remember, people have short attention spans, right? Myself, maybe most of you watching, right? Short attention spans. So you got to really capture and keep people's attention. So be concise and to the point. So at this point, what you want to do is you want to pick out one standout career achievement, your standout career achievement that speaks to, again, the problem or the need that you feel based on your assessment of the job description is what would most appeal to the hiring manager or whoever's reading your message. And you want to quantify, right? That's the most important point, right? You want to quantify that, which is the third point I want to speak about is you want to quantify the success that you mentioned. So a standout achievement, right? Standout achievement could be that I could mention as an example. And again, I'm making this, out of the air. Don't be hard on me on this. I'm just making this stuff right on the spot, right? But in this message, continuing from my message as a recruiter is, I might say, so I mentioned the banking experience and I've recruited for software developers, Java developers, .NET developers, all that. And then I could mention a recent, extremely successful, a recent standout career achievement I had, Mr. and Mrs. Hiring Manager, is I was recruiting for Bank XYZ. They actually had a strong need for 10 developers for this project, and they didn't have anyone in the seats due to a whole bunch of developers leaving, and also they had some new requirements come in. They had an immediate need for 10 developers, and they were struggling, and it was costing the business I don't know, $100,000 a month not having the people in the seat. And myself and my team were able to go out into the marketplace, find the right developers they were looking for, have them in the seat and ready and hired and all set to start the project within a month, therefore saving the company X number of dollars. And the turnaround time was very quick. And in fact, as far as I know, those developers are still in the seat right now. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling here, but all of you get the point, right? I had to I quantified it. I mentioned that how I was able to save the company X number of whatever dollars they were wasting on not being able to have those developers in the seat. You want to quantify your successes, folks. This is the next important part. Don't just say that, you were involved in such and such project. Quantify it. See if you can quantify it, if at all possible. This might, again, involve you having to do some legwork and some research, maybe even speaking to some of your previous managers, maybe digging into the project charter that might mention, the impact of the project, the cost and all that stuff. But what you want to focus on, folks, you want to mention somehow, again, I want you to make these messages concise, right? But I want you to see if you can mention something that you can quantify, right? And usually what you can quantify is what did the business achieve by having you on this project? And some of you might think, well, no, I'm not a, I'm a cost to the company and this and that. No, you're not a cost, folks. If you were simply only a cost to a company, the company would not hire you. The reason why you are being brought into a project is because there is an expected ROI. The company gets something in return, right? And it's usually, maybe it results in an increase in revenue, time savings, cost savings. What are some other ones? Like, feel free to put in the comments, folks. What are some other business results that you can help achieve as a result of your work and your expertise and your knowledge and your experience, right? Share your ideas in the comments. Like, it doesn't have to be just me speaking here, folks. I love to hear everyone's ideas. So make sure you put that in the comments. What are some of the business results that you can help achieve as a result of your work, right? And think of those things. Things you want to, anything you can mention that dollars, percentages, savings, cost savings, revenue increases, all this stuff. Like, this is how you quantify your achievements, and you want to make sure you mention that, right? So tip number 2 is your message should include, so far we've spoken about, your message should include, again, number 1, speak to the problem, right? The problem or the need. And in some cases, you're going to have is the job description, right? So you might have to go with the job description, but assessing that, your message or your direct message should speak to the problem or the need that the organization does appear to be having, right? And I see some comments coming here. I see Smith says supply chain. Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely say how you helped improve the supply chain. Smith, you can say Sailesh says productivity. Excellent point, Sailesh. For us, says reputational cost savings. Exactly. There you go, folks. Great examples here. So these are all the things you need to quantify and mention, right? Which were an end result of you being involved in the project, right? So again, so far we've spoken about, look, in the direct message, you want to speak to the problem or the need. Number two, you want to mention a previous success that relates to the problem or the need, right? That allowed you to achieve results that you can replicate potentially at this organization, at this company, or that you're reaching out to. And number three, very important, quantify, folks. Quantify the successes you speak of, because otherwise you're just some person who's just talking a whole bunch of stuff, right? I want you to put a number on those results that you mentioned. Quantify. Again, dollar signs, percentages, whatever related to the industry that you can you can say that can quantify whatever success you had, that standout project. Quantify it, all right? So keep that in mind. Valerian says, we didn't have such clarity 6 years back. Dean's doing a great job. Thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate that. Valerian, he's a great guy. I think we met, like, it's been a while since we met, Valerian. After COVID is finished, let's definitely meet up again. All right. I hope you're doing great, my friend. Thank you so much for your feedback. So that now going on to tip number 3. Now, this is the final tip. Very quick tip. Now, you can do all of this, folks, and I'm just giving everyone a realistic outlook, and this is based on my experiences as well as a job seeker in the past. You could do each and every one of these tips I showed you and still not get a response from each and every person you reach out to, right? There are no guarantees, folks. There are no guarantees. I've used this process myself. There are no guarantees. I mean, the only guarantees in life are like, death, taxes, traffic on the 401 before this COVID thing happened. And maybe like the daily meal menu at McDonald's. Like those are the only guarantees, right? But my point is, the more people you reach out to using this approach, a directed approach, a message that really speaks to their needs, to their problems, that quantifies the successes you achieved before, that really speaks to whatever problem and need they're having. The more people you reach out to, folks, using this kind of a format in your messaging, the increased likelihood it's going to capture their attention. Separate yourself from the other hundreds and hundreds of applications that might have potentially, be sitting in their inbox, and really stand out and really show them why, this person might be a good potential fit for this role and why we definitely want to have a further conversation, right? So at this point, folks, to a certain degree, it is a numbers game, all right? I still want you to message and reach out to as many people as possible, even within each position, right? Don't just reach out to one position. I did a post and a video about this a few days ago, I believe. You need to be identifying at least a minimum of 5 relevant people at each position that you apply for. HR person, corporate recruiter, team lead, maybe a hiring manager, right? An actual manager, director, VP, like whatever. Each and every potential individual within each organization that you applied for, right? Because that increases your chances of getting a response. Let's say you apply to 5 positions, and you identify 5 people at each position you can send a direct message to. That's 25 contacts, people. That's 25 contacts, folks. Are you gonna get an increased chances of getting a response by reaching out to 25 people, or reaching out to just one person at each organization, like 5 people? 5 people versus 25 people. What are the odds, folks? All of you tell me. I did not do very well in statistics and math in school, but all of you let me know. What are the better odds? Reaching out to 25 people and sending a direct, well structured, quantified message, like an example I gave you just now. 25 of those, or just 5 of those, or even worse, what a lot of us are doing, not sending any messages at all, folks. We're just applying. We submit the resume, we submit the application, we move on to the next one. Apply, move on. Apply, move on. Apply, move on. Imagine if you start messaging, folks. Imagine if you start, and not just messaging, but sending a great, well-structured, directed message that speaks to your results, that quantifies your results, captures the attention of the people you might be reaching out to potentially, and really showing the kind of value you can bring to the table. What's going to help you more, folks, right? So look, I hope this helped. I hope this helped everyone. And again, going back to the tip number one, right? You are not a burden. You're not being a pest. As long as you're not messaging someone, like if you message me every day and say, "Hey Dean, do you have anything for me? Hey Dean, do you have anything for me? Hey Dean, do you have anything for me?" If you do that 5 or 7 days a week, of course that's going to be annoying, right? But if you do it in a reasonable fashion, folks, so you're not bothering people or pestering and annoying people. If you do it once a week, That's not annoying. That's not bothersome. That's not annoying. And keep in mind, tip number one, that was the most important tip I shared, the mindset shift. You are thinking of yourself as a job seeker. Stop thinking of yourself as a job seeker. You are a solution provider. You are a problem solver, right? That's what you're doing. You're solving problems. You're providing a solution. If I have a problem and someone reaches out to me as a potential solution provider, maybe I might ignore the message. Hey, that's the reality, folks. I don't want to give all of you an unrealistic outlook. Maybe in most cases, your message might get ignored. But then there's going to be a handful of people that are going to read your message and be like, thank God I can speak this. This person has exactly the type of experience I'm looking for. I don't have to go through these damn like 200, 300 applications I just got. It's going to save me like hours of going through that stuff. Thank goodness. Let me just call this person or set up a phone call and see if they can potentially help. Let's call them in for an interview. Let's set up an initial phone call. That's the way you need to be looking at it, folks, right? So stop thinking of it that you're a job seeker, you're annoying people. No, you're not. You provide a solution. You're a person of value. You. And again, most of you in my network or watching this are IT professionals, folks. You solve multi-million-dollar problems. You have been in a part of projects that have ranged in like the multi millions, maybe even multi-billion. Maybe some of you have been involved in multi-billion-dollar projects. I don't know. Who knows? You're solving like huge projects. Why are you concerned about annoying people? You're not annoying anyone. You're as long as you present yourself as someone who's able to solve problems, help the business, increase revenue, reduce costs, increase efficiencies, and all this stuff. How on earth are you bothering anyone, folks? You're not bothering anyone. It's all about how you present yourself, right? You need to present yourself and understand that you are someone who's there to solve a problem and provide a solution. All right. So look, I don't want to get into too much of a rant. I know I'm a little fired up right now, but I hope this information helps. Because look, a lot of people reach out to me and in an apologetic tone. You do not need to apologize. Most of you reaching out to me are IT professionals. I have such a huge amount of respect for all the IT professionals out there. And I say IT professionals because obviously I recruit in the IT space. I know the amount of work that all of you, the hard work you put in, sometimes after hours, beyond after hours, spending time away from your families, to make these businesses run and operate. Well, I mean, like it blows my mind, right? Like the amount of work and the amount of talent and the amount of knowledge. Now, for those of you outside of IT, I'm not ruling out all of you outside of IT. I can only speak about IT because, folks, I recruit for IT, right? So those fields outside of IT, same thing applies. You bring so much value to your respective fields, so you're not bothering or pestering anyone. It's all a matter of your perception. So change that mindset. You're a problem solver. You're a solution provider. And then the next thing is you need to provide a good message, right? So if this information was a lot, you should be able to see the replay of this, folks. So after this session is ended, watch the replay. I always recommend watch the replay. Go through my suggestions here. Take notes if you have to, and implement it. That's the important thing. I want you to implement it, please, folks. Please implement it. I get messages from a lot of you saying that, oh, Dean, you're so motivational and this and that, which is great. I appreciate that. But my biggest concern, folks, I do not want to be here to be. I've always been suspicious myself of motivational speakers, and I just want all of you to take this information and do something with it. Please use it and use it and do something with it, and then let me know your feedback. I want to motivate all of you into action. I do not want to be some motivational speaker because I've been disappointed by those people like plenty of times in my life. And I certainly don't want to be some person who just motivates people. I want to motivate you into action. So take action, folks. Take action. Use these tips. Use this advice. And let me know the results of the practical results. Did it get you practical results? That's what's going to mean the most to me. That's what's closest to my heart, okay? So I want all of you to do that. So remember, think of yourself as a problem solver, solution provider. Number 2, good message, well-structured message, quantified message. Speak of your results that speak to the problem and the need. Again, rewind this. Watch the replay if you want to take a look at this again. I'll also be uploading it, by the way, to my YouTube channel later this afternoon, so make sure you check that out. And number 3, you had to play a numbers game. To a certain degree, it's a numbers game, folks. So identify 5 people at each organization you applied to that you can send these direct messages to, right? So if you applied for 5 positions, 5 people at each position, 5 people you can direct message at each position. How many people is that? 25 people, folks. 25 people. And by the way, if you're trying to message these people on LinkedIn, you might not be able to message them unless you're connected with them. So you might have to send the connection requests first before you can message them. So just to give you a heads up. But apply this and implement this to each and every part of all the positions you applied for, right? Imagine 10 positions. Imagine that, go folks. Just imagine this: 10 positions. You reach out to 5 people at each positions. That's 50 people, 50 potential contacts, right? So I want you to keep this in mind and keep doing this. All right. So I'm rambling at this point, I know, but I hope that information was helpful. Again, watch the replay. I encourage you to watch the replay, take down the notes, and use it, folks. Use this stuff. Don't just get excited and pumped up. I know I'm a high energy person. I have a tendency to pump people up, but that's not my intention. I want you to use this information and implement it, and I want it to have practical use for you. All right. So make sure you do that. Now I'm going to get into the questions. Anybody have any questions? Put it in the comments right now, folks. I definitely want to get around to the questions and help all of you out with your job search before we start wrapping this thing up. So any questions you have, put in the comments, and I'm definitely going to do my best to get around to it. So let's see here. So we got, bear with me, folks. I'm just going through a lot of comments here. Appreciate all the comments, folks. Really appreciate that. A lot of people open to networking as well. By the way, folks, if you're open to networking with each other, put in the comments. Let everyone know you're open to networking, and all of you should be connecting with each other. This is how you grow your network, right? So feel free to grow your network. Let's see here. So Sahej says, yeah, I signed up for it. Awesome. I guess, Sahej, you're speaking about the LinkedIn 4.0 event happening tomorrow. Awesome, Sahej. I'll see you there. Hope you benefit from the information. We got, let's see here. What are the questions we got here? Questions. Let's see here. All right, so we got, so Chinyere, hope you're doing great, Chinyere. Hope you're doing great. So Chinyere says, I reached out to a friend in a company to get more information for a role that they advertised, and he said it would be unfair to other candidates if he helps me by giving me information. Is anything wrong in giving out information to a candidate? Yeah, so Chinyere, great question. And look, maybe there are some organizations, Chinyere, where maybe they have policies, I don't know. But as far as I know, there's no issue with people helping you out with information. My opinion, my personal opinion on that, Chinyere, that's not a very good friend. Because if and look, I don't mean to offend anyone out there. If you've been following me for a while, you know Dean keeps it real, right? Dean is outspoken. Dean speaks his mind. My opinion, Chinyere, and again, I don't have all the context, but doesn't sound like a very good friend. If I was working within an organization and I had a friend reach out to me and who asking me, hey, Dean, can you give me the inside scoop on this role? Like, what can you tell me about this position? What are you looking for in the role? I would have no issue sharing that information, right? Unless there was some strict policy for whatever reason, which, by the way, I have never experienced. Those of you who are watching this, let us know. Is there cases where you can't absolutely share any information or any details about the what the key aspects of a role are within an organization? I have personally not experienced this, Chinyere, so I would say that's not a very good friend. But I mean, unless there's some strict policy preventing them or saying that, hey, you can't share any information about this role with anyone outside the organization. If you do, you're going to get in big trouble. That's a different story. Maybe that's the case, Chinyere. I'm not sure. But other than that, I don't see any issue with people giving me, like, even to this day, I have people, my friends and former colleagues at other staffing agencies who want me to join their agency, and they say, hey, Dean, this is the inside scoop on the role. This is who you're going to meet with. These are the stakeholders. Let me know. I'd be happy to refer you. Right. So as far as I know, Chinyere, maybe there is some kind of policy. So I'm not bashing your friend here. But, for the most part, I'd say there's no issue. But I hope that helps, Chinyere, and all the best. And do continue reaching out to people, right? Don't let this one negative experience get to you. So Arvind says, how does that translate to fresh graduates with little industry experience? So Arvind, Arvind is speaking about my advice, which I gave about, when you're sending a direct message, to speak to the job description, right, and the requirements. So great question. So Arvind, what I would say to that is, look, you clearly, you might not have the professional experience, but you do have the academic experience. You do have projects you worked on at school that you can showcase, right? So if it's similar languages or same languages, or maybe you worked on some project that involve the technologies listed in the job description, that's what you want to focus on, Arvind. You want to focus on that. And also, for those of you, by the way, who are new graduates and students and fresh grads, you need to be building your own portfolio, right? Don't just sit around and depending on your academic experience as well either, which is still great. Your academic project experience is great. But if at all possible, and this could depend on your skill set, right? But if at all possible, you want to start building your own portfolio, right? If you're a programmer, for example, start building your own apps so that you can show, hey, this is my practical experience. and you can actually show that at your interview. So hope that helps, Arvind, in terms of your situation, and hope that helps out. And for all the other new grads, tuning in. So we got, let's see, any more questions? So Faraz says, can we network for Scrum Master roles in the same systematic way? So Faraz, I guess you're referring to my direct messaging approach. So yeah, absolutely, Faraz. I don't see any issue with that. And again, folks, this is just one avenue you need to be using, right? So in addition to doing this, Faraz, definitely look for Scrum Master focused networking groups as well, right? On meetup.com is a great resource. They might have some groups where you can meet up and connect and network with other Scrum Masters. Use every avenue available to you, folks. Like if you've been following me, you hear me say that a lot. Use every avenue available to you. There's no one channel that's the best or the greatest. I want you using every channel. Today I specifically spoke about online applications and online direct messaging, but you want to use every other channel available to you for us. So hope that helps. Tanya has some feedback here. Excellent content. Thanks so much, Tanya. I really appreciate that. Appreciate your feedback as well. So Priya says, how do we identify the right people to message for a position? Please share tips. Yeah, so great question, Priya. So what I personally do, Priya, is, again, I take advantage of LinkedIn. So if you go to, let's say you apply for a company, go to the company page on LinkedIn, go to the employee list, and then it lists all the employees, right? So this is where, Priya, as a job seeker, I might have to do some legwork, right? So I might have to look at, okay, who are the people and what are their titles that give me an indication that they might have a high chance of being involved in the hiring decision for this position, right? For example, let's say you're a software developer, right? And you applied for a position at this company, and you went to the LinkedIn company page, you went through the employee list, and you're going through the employee list. Now, if I'm a software developer and I apply for a software development position, let's say I see someone who has the job title of a position title of team lead software development. I can say, okay, yeah, you know what? This person might be potentially have an involvement with this position. So I'm going to definitely note it down to connect with them and then send them a direct message. So you want to connect first and send a direct message, right? Because I know that a lot of you might not be able to send a direct message unless you're connected to the person. So first step is connect, folks, right? And then you send the direct message. So you want to do that. And then maybe you're going through the list furthermore, Priya, and then you see someone with the title of manager software development, right? That might be another potential person. Then you might see a VP of software development. Then you might see senior director of software development. Then you might see the CTO, the chief technology officer, right? It'll probably make more sense to reach out to the C-level people if it's at a smaller organization. But still, what do you have to lose by messaging these people, right? So hope that helps, Priya, in terms of finding out the right people. Let's see here. More questions. Yeah, so if anyone has any more questions, feel free to put it. So we got a few people here open for networking. So Smith says he's open for networking. Sounds good, Smith. That's great. We got another Smith. Wow, two Smiths in the house. Wow, I guess today is definitely a lucky day. Awesome. That sounds great. But a shout out to Smith Patel as well, or open for networking. Sounds good, Smith. Hey, maybe both of you should connect with each other, right? So that's great. That's awesome. So let's see here. So Faraz asks, how is the IT job market during COVID-19? So Faraz, I mean, it does appear things are starting to pick up and the market is starting to open up, but things are not suddenly going to go back to normal, Faraz, right? Sorry, a quick sip of. I'm already starting to lose my voice. I gotta improve on that, right? But it depends on what you need to do for us. You need to keep an eye out on which parts of the market, which industries are experiencing sustained or increased levels of demand, right? And that's where you want to focus your job search, because that's where the opportunities are going to be. So make sure you do that. For us, you want to take a look at which industries, which parts of the market is experiencing a sustained or increased level of demand. That's where you need to be looking for jobs for us, and continue using all the channels available to you for us, right? So hope that helps. Then Priya, I see you asked your question again. I believe I did answer that, so hope that answers your question, Priya. So then Valentin asks some tips if candidate wants to find relocation opportunities. So Valentin, this is a great question. Valentin, appreciate you asking that. Now, this could depend on the location, the city, and just the overall local economy as well, Valentin. In my opinion, by the way, this is my opinion, right? So, for example, right now in Toronto, like if you're in another city and you're applying for positions, or another city, or maybe another country, if you're applying for positions, for example, in a highly populated city such as such as Toronto, you might face some challenges in respect to the fact that there's so many people already on the ground here, a lot of people out of work, right, because of COVID layoffs, that are competing for the same jobs, right? So you being outside of the country, or maybe even outside of the city, or even outside of province, or even outside of state, wherever you're located, might prove a challenge because you had to compete with people who are already on the ground over there and doing that. Now, that being said, and another positive or minus might be, a lot of organizations are getting used to this whole aspect of remote employees and people working remotely, right? So because of this, there might be an attitude change towards considering people who might be outside of outside of the location. But that being said, you got to consider other aspects as well, Valentin. Like, do you require sponsorship, and are you able to legally work, and that kind of stuff. So if there's the more added variables there, the more difficult it is for the business to create a case for hiring or considering someone who might not be already on the ground right there in the same city that they can hire. So I hope that helps, Valentin. So Chinyere says, yeah, okay. So referring back to your thing, Chinyere says he said it will be unfair to other candidates applying for the role. He was happy to refer me though. Yeah, I mean, I'm still skeptical about that, Chinyere. Again, this is just me, the way my perceptions and stuff like that. Like I still don't see why it would be an issue for him to share more information about the role, right? I mean, it's not like you're asking him to give a personal recommendation. Like if someone reached out to me and said, hey Dean, can you refer me for this particular position, this particular role, if I didn't personally work with the person, I would be hesitant in referring them. And if that was the situation here, Chinria, I would understand. But you're just asking for inside information, so I don't see why that's an issue. And it's not like you're asking for industry secrets or organizational secrets or proprietary information. You're simply asking for, okay, what are the details of the role? What are the requirements for the role? What is the project? I mean, I don't see any issue with that, Chinyere. But again, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to ruin any friendships out there, Chinyere. But I'm still highly skeptical about that. But in any case, keep in touch. Don't burn any bridges. You never know; they might be able to help you in the future, right? So just keep a good relationship with your friend, but don't depend on just them. Then see if you can make any other connections. All right. So hope that helps, Chinyere. Muisi says open for networking. Thank you, Muisi. That's great. So feel free to connect with Muisi, everyone. Smith says already connected. Okay, great. Smith is referring to the other Smith who commented before. So that's great, Smith. Appreciate that. And then we got one more question from Priya. So Priya says, Dean, is there a risk of being perceived as a bit too anxious if one were to message multiple people for the same position? If they were to talk to each other, will they understand this is because one is very interested in the position and trying to apply through multiple avenues? Yeah, so this is a great question, Priya. Great question. So what Priya is saying is, look, Dean, you're telling us to message multiple people at the same organization. Will it come across as you being desperate, or how do you make sure that you're showing yourself as someone very interested? So great question, Priya. And you know what? I have wondered this same thing myself as a past as a job seeker. But look, it's all about how you approach, Priya, right? Now, if you do a very generic message where you're just like, hi, my name is, I'm going to use myself as an example. Hi, my name is Dean. I'm an IT recruiter with 8 years of experience. I'm looking for work. Let me know if you have anything. Let's say I stick to that message, right? Now, if that was the message and I send it out to 5 people, absolutely, I'm going to come across as desperate because I haven't provided any value. I haven't positioned myself as someone of value, right? Now, using the framework I just mentioned before, folks, and by the way, I highly recommend after this session is done, watch the replay. Set aside some time, maybe later on in the day, watch the replay and note down that framework I shared, right, in terms of how your message should be structured. If you do the message like that, you're introducing yourself and you're saying, and you're speaking to the problem, right? You're speaking to the problem mentioned in the job description, right? You're speaking to the problem. You're sharing some success, some one success story, career achievement, that demonstrates or gives an example of your success. You're mentioning that in the message. You're connecting it to their problem and their need, okay? And then number 3, you're quantifying it. You're showing quantifiable results you have achieved for previous organizations that you can potentially get for their organization right? You're doing all three of that. Guess what, folks, and not just Priya, but all of you, and this is the realization I had as a job seeker in the past. This is my realization. I'm speaking to them. I'm speaking about them. I'm not. I mean, I'm definitely mentioning, about myself and my achievements and what I can do for them. But my focus is on them. My focus is on their problem. So what you're actually doing, Priya, is you're putting the focus on them and your ability. You're actually showing empathy. This is empathy, folks. You're putting the focus on them and their problem and their need, and you're only mentioning what you can do to help them with that problem. You're showing empathy. You're showing why you're a great person for them to consider in this position. So each of the 5 people who read this message, they're gonna, from their perspective, they're gonna be like, "Whoa, this." I mean, they're speaking to the problem that we have. It's not gonna be annoying. It's not gonna come across as desperate. By the way, quick exercise, folks. What I want all of you to do for homework is write a sample message like this, send it to yourself, or send it to a friend or family member, a spouse, I don't know, whoever it is, a friend, and say, "Hey, look, read this message. Tell me if this comes across like, does this, if you were a hiring manager, if you were looking for someone in this position, would this capture your attention? Does this come across as desperate? If it comes across as desperate, you might have to make some adjustments, right?" But the point is, the focus is on the organization, right? So you're not coming across as desperate. It's not like you're talking about yourself and how you need a job, you need this, you need that, you need this. I'm in this situation and no one's responding to you. Well, none of that, right? Your focus is on the organization. Your focus is on their problem, their need. So when you send out the message to 5 people, Priya, and everyone out there listening, you're speaking to the problem. The focus is on them, so it's not going to come across as annoying and desperate. So I hope that helps, Priya. I hope that gives some clarification there, and hope that helps for all of you, right? So make sure you do that, and again, test it out. Write out that framework, using that framework. Send it to yourself. Take a step back. Pretend you're the hiring manager. You're receiving this message, and see if it has that effect, right? And try it out, and send it to people you know as well. So hope that helps, Priya. A few more. So I'll take 2 more questions, folks, and then I'm gonna wrap it up. So we got some feedback here. So Radhika says, "Dean, I appreciate your efforts for conducting such sessions. Your energy is phenomenal and contagious. Keep it up. I learn a lot from every session of yours." Thank you so much, Radhika. I really appreciate that, and happy to hear that you find these sessions useful. Again, thanks so much, Radhika. Really appreciate that, and taking the time to comment. So Raghav says, "How far do references work in Canada?" Like a contact who can refer you for a particular position. Yeah, I mean, definitely effective, Raghav. Great question. Absolutely, 100%, folks. And this goes back to what I said before. Do not depend on one channel. You got to use every single channel available to you, right? So Raghav is saying, look, references. So you want to see if you can build relationships, right? Internal relationships. Expand your network, attend networking events. Message and connect with the recruiters at staffing agencies, corporate recruiters. Get involved with professional industry groups, right? Those tech talks and tech TO and all these different groups. Online applications, staffing agencies, directly applying for positions, applying on careers pages. Every channel available to you, right? You got to use every channel, folks. There's no magic bullet, everyone. You got to use every single channel available to you. So Raghav, hope that helps, Raghav. And yeah, absolutely, references definitely do help. So make sure you use that, right? We got a comment from Priya. So Priya says, I guess this is for Chinyere's comment. "I must agree with Dean here. The job role description is usually public knowledge, and it is in the interest of the role, interest of the organization to share this to identify the right person for a role and receive applications from applicants who use the description, evaluate if the role actually interests them and is appealing opportunity, if they see themselves a fit over generic applications. However, as he says, your friend might mean well, but might just have a misconception. So don't let it." I guess it's kind of cut off, but yeah, thanks for your comment, Priya. Yeah, no worries, Raghav. I hope that information helps. And yeah, Priya also agreed with that. From what I hear, internal references go a long way in Canada. Yeah, absolutely. So that's it, folks. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm almost losing my voice, but thanks everyone for tuning in. Appreciate that. And again, quick reminder for those of you looking for resume tips and advice, don't forget tomorrow's session. It's going to be at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time zone, right here on my LinkedIn Live. And my guest is going to be Dr. Amanda Rico. She's going to be sharing resume and cover letter tips and advice. If you don't get the notification, mark your calendar, set a reminder. So tomorrow, Thursday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time zone. If you don't get the notification on LinkedIn, go to my LinkedIn profile, scroll down to activity, and you should see me live tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. All right, folks. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Hope this information was useful and practical. And thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. Appreciate all the comments. I do see some feedback coming here. And I'm just going to share a few feedbacks because it really means so much to me. It really touches me when all of you give me feedback. It really means a lot. We got to hear from Quadrat, who says, great insights here, Dean, and your energy is definitely contagious. Thank you so much, Quadrat. Really appreciate it. Bawani says, thanks, Dean, for an amazing session. You're welcome, Bawani. Thanks so much for your feedback. And we got Chinyere says, well done, Dean. My first time attending your live session. Thank you, Chinyere. I appreciate that. And we got Priya, who says, thanks a lot for addressing our queries, Dean. Very helpful as always. Thanks so much, Priya. And thank you everyone for tuning in and watching. Again, apply the information, folks. Watch the replay, apply it. Again, you have to play the numbers game at the application stage. Reach out to as many people as possible. Stay positive, keep taking action, and smile. All right, smile, stay positive, keep taking action. And I'll see all of you who are joining in for the resume session tomorrow. Tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. I'll see all of you then. All right. Thanks so much. Take care. Keep pushing forward. Keep going for what you want. All right. Take care. Bye.